And I think we have some technical difficulties here at the start of the show, but Lonesome Lee Bogan, he's got things under control from what I understand. Are we good to go there, Lonesome Lee?
I'm trying, bro.
So we are rocking and rolling here at the historic Richland Building in Portland, Tennessee. And lots of stuff going on, man. I mean, we've waited a long time, but October is almost here. And I just dropped my phone right on the floor.
Way to go.
Yeah. Anyway, okay,
Ta-da.
so yeah, we're back and rolling. So Ghost of Gallatin, the Haunted Tour, they're up and rolling. This weekend is the start of the Haunted Tours here in Gallatin, Tennessee. Also, there's a live show at the Palace in Gallatin, right there on the square, October 29th. My good pal Lonesome Lee may or may not be performing his new hit single, Gonna Marry Me a Hooker. How's that going there, Lee?
It's going really good. The company Vidya is boosting it as we speak.
Well, good. Yeah, Lee's got a new song. I've got some new books. The Resurrection of Knox Martin. I mentioned that. I think it was last week before last. That's a story of the Frankenstein story in South Nashville. A young man who may or may not have been resurrected through electricity and was seen walking around Nashville. Also, The Sausage King, and that's going to kind of be the topic of today's show.
Yeah.
So, The Sausage King is a book I wrote. It came out, I guess it was last week before last. But it's based off a real guy. So, in the 1850s, there was a man named Adolph Luetgert who came to Chicago from Germany. He worked hard, started making some money in real estate. Well, he wrote back to his family, and his younger brother Adolph, he worked with his father as a tanner in the local tannery there in Germany, and Adolph wanted to make something of himself. So he was getting these letters from his brother, and he realized, hey, I can come to Chicago, maybe I can make something of myself. You know, in Germany, I guess you couldn't do a lot with yourself. It was hard to get ahead. So, hey, America is a land of opportunity. So he comes to America in 1861, goes to New York City. When he arrives at the port there, he has $30 in his pocket. So he did some work in New York City. Eventually he got to Chicago where his brother was, and he worked as a tanner like he had done over in Germany. Tanner is a man who works with leather, and back then leather goods, that was a necessity. You had to have saddles, you had to have leather goods. But anyway, he worked as a tanner, and eventually he saved enough money where he opened a liquor wholesale business. And you can make some money as a tanner, but I imagine being in Chicago in the mid-19th century, the liquor business is probably pretty good, wouldn't you think, Lee?
I'd say it was kicking.
Yeah. So he made a pretty good chunk there selling liquor wholesale, but he got out of that, and he went into, an adjacent business. He opened a saloon there in Chicago. So the thing is, he came from Germany, and folks in Germany they're really good at making sausages. They would smoke sausages, family recipe. Well, in the saloon that Adolph had, he started making the sausages. He'd serve up some beer, but he also would, he'd be cooking sausages there in the back, and people would smell them. And word got around, people all over Chicago would come to Adolph Luetgert's saloon to get some of his sausage.
And drink beer.
Yeah. Well, he could have, cooked the beer and the sausage. Some folks do that. So he started serving the sausages. He made a lot of money, did pretty well. And people out of Chicago were coming in. Well, he talked to his wife, Louisa, and he decided, it's time to expand our operation. So in May 1893, the Colombian Exposition, which we all know today as the World's Fair, it was scheduled to come to Chicago. So he saw this coming to Chicago. He saw the opportunity, and he started getting his finances in order. He went to visit with some backers, and he got enough money raised where he built a sausage factory there in Chicago. And his goal was he's going to get this thing operational during the exposition. He was going to just have sampling in different places all over town, and he would have his sausages shipping all over the country. So, he had a really good vision. He was a very astute businessman. He saw the opportunity, and he does just that. He gets backing. His brother helped him, plugged him in with the right people, and so 1893, once the exposition is in Chicago, he's been open for a few months. The sausage factory is humming, and he has things in order where the exposition comes, he can make some money. Well, if you know anything about the 1893 World's Exposition, there was a guy named H.H. Holmes. You ever heard of him, Lee?
I have not.
So there's a book, The Devil in the White City. There's been documentaries on this guy. So H.H. Holmes, Some say that H.H. Holmes could have been Jack the Ripper.
Ooh.
But he's known as one of the first serial killers, the first documented serial killers in the United States. So he was running wild in Chicago during this exposition. And from May of 1893 until October 1893, when the exposition finally ended, Henry Holmes just preyed upon people visiting Chicago. Now, I told you he was the first serial killer in America. Well, no one knows the exact number of the people he tortured and killed. If you look online, there's estimates from 9 all the way to 200. So he actually confessed to killing 27 people.
Oh, my.
But it was kind of, there was some muddy water there because some of the folks he claimed to have killed were still alive. So no one really knows for sure exactly how many men H.H. Holmes killed. But if you Google him or you look him up, there's podcasts just set up just for H.H. Holmes. He's a fascinating character, and if you like true crime, he's a very interesting figure in American history. I'm sure, Lee, you looking him up right now?
I'm looking at the notes you had sent me.
Yeah.
I read them earlier. I can't wait till you get to this part.
Okay, yeah. It's coming. Yeah, it gets heating up here in a minute.
I got you.
So the Adolph Luetgert Sausage and Packing Company opened in 1892 on the corner of Diversity and Hermitage Avenue, just in time for the exposition, as I mentioned a little while ago. And business, it was really good. But although business was really good, Adolph had gone pretty deep into debt and had to continue to borrow from bankers and local lenders around Chicago to keep his sausage business afloat. Now, he lived just behind the factory. He had a pretty nice house there he could walk to and from work. But he didn't stay at home a lot. Him and Louisa, his wife, they kind of butted heads. It's kind of a loveless marriage, and he pretty much just stayed in the factory as much as he could. He
had to get away from her.
But he did go home to see his children. He had 2 little boys he adored. Like I said, Louis and Adolph, they weren't getting along. But Louis and Elmer, I think they were 5 and 2 at this time. He adored them. He would, go play with them. They said, by all accounts, he was a wonderful father. Well, after the expo left Chicago, Adolph, he was making money during the expo. But once it was over, he started losing money. And what he did was he was trying to grow after the World's Fair had left. And what he should have been doing is maintaining, or just downsizing a little bit. But he was an ambitious guy. He had an ego. He thought, no, I'm going to keep building and building and building. The business will come. Well, that's not what happened. Business kept getting worse and worse because the fair is gone. The customers are drying up. Chicago's still a big city, but all the new customers have left town.
That's why Louise wasn't happy. That money wasn't coming in.
Yeah, exactly. So he started poking around trying to find, some more loans. He had pretty much the Foreman brothers, other bankers and businessmen, he had pretty much bled them dry, and everybody wanted their money. Well, the general manager of the factory, a guy named Mr. William Charles, who was a friend, and he's also a slight investor in the factory, he found an angel investor that could inject some much-needed capital into the factory. Layoffs had started, sales, I told you, were tanking, and Adolph, he was desperate. He was pretty much just on the verge of shutting down. So as Adolph was running the factory on a skeleton crew, William Charles arranged for a meeting at a Chicago hotel with a guy named Robert Davy. Now, Robert Davy, he was allegedly a British nobleman who was supposedly related to the British crown. And this was a godsend for Adolph Luetgert. This is what he needed. He needed some cash injected into the business. And this guy here, he told Adolph and William he had access to $37 million, and he was really interested in investing in the factory. So as you can imagine, Adolph, he's doing cartwheels. Well, at first, Davy offered to inject $500,000 working capital into the business to get it back up and running at full capacity. So as the president of the factory, Adolph would stay in his position, and he would receive a salary of $200,000 in cash and $100,000 in stock to retain his title and to run the factory. William Charles would also stay in his position as a general manager. So Adolph would also receive a salary of $5,000 per year. Now, $200,000, which he was going to receive in 1893, now punch this into the inflation calculator, and $200,000 in 1893 is over $7 million in 2025. Mm-hmm. So he's going to, get a pretty big chunk. And so if Davy's going to invest $500,000, that's what, 14, that's $17 million in today's money. Davy was going to invest in the sausage factory to help Adolph get through this rough patch. So they had some meetings. They negotiated back and forth. And when it came time to sign the papers, one of Luetgert's attorneys started asking some questions. This guy Davy, are you sure he's legitimate? Do you think he's really related to the British Crown? Does he have the ear of the King of England? What is this guy legit? So Adolph, oh no, it sounded too good to be true, but he believed that, this guy had the money. William Charles vouched for him. So the attorneys asked Davy for some proof, hey, are you really who you say you are? And Davy produced letters of references not just from noblemen in England and Scotland, but he also found he produced letters from respected citizens in Chicago, some professors at the University of Chicago. So he was who he says he was, according to the stuff he produced. So they pick a date when Mr. Davy is going to show up in Chicago. They're going to sign this contract, and it's going to put the factory back on financial ground or solid financial footing. And Adolph, he's just, he's so excited. Well, a few days before they're to sign the papers, Davy had to rush off to New York for some business. Supposedly he invested in another factory up there. He had to go check on something. And a day or two before they're going to sign the papers, Adolph gets a wire. He gets a telegram. Actually, I've got to back up. Davy requested some money to send. He asked for several $1,000s from Adolph to cover his travel and his attorney's travel from England. Mm-hmm. So in addition to all the stuff, he's sending Robert Davy money. Well, a day or two before they're going to sign the papers, Adolph gets a telegram. Robert Davy is on his deathbed in New York. So Adolph, he's firing off telegrams. He's writing letters. William Charles is sent to investigate what's going on. Adolph has to have this money injected into the business.
So the guy that was going to put the money,
yes,
is not doing well.
Correct. Adolph sent him some money to cover his traveling and his attorney's travel, and then he is knocking on death's door. Mm. So a week later, Adolph, he's just beside himself. He can't stand it. He wrote a letter, got no response. He's not getting any answers to his telegrams. He became so concerned, he boarded a train and went to New York City looking for him. When he searched around, he went to Connecticut, and he found this doctor who sent him the telegram. He went to his office like, hey, I'm Adolph Luetgert. You sent me this telegram. Showed him the telegram. Hey, Robert Davy, where is he? I know you're treating him. He looked at him like he's speaking Mandarin Chinese. I don't know Robert Davy. What are you talking about?
Oh.
I never sent you a telegram.
Oh.
So Adolph Luetgert, he's a defeated man. He's stuck in New York City. He's hemorrhaging money. What's he going to do? So, yeah, times are desperate for Adolph, and that's going to be a long train ride back from New York City all the way to Chicago. Tell your wife, hey, I got to close the sausage factory. So what do you think Louisa is going to say about that?
She's probably going to jump for joy and cook some dinner. No, she is not going to be a happy camper.
Yeah, it's going to get really bad. But I tell you, we're up against a break here. You want to go to break, and we'll come back, and we'll talk about what happened when Adolph got back to Chicago?
Let's get her done. We'll be right back.
All right.
CEMC wants to warn its members to be on alert for scams that are targeting utility customers. Scammers are using a variety of methods, including phone calls and emails, to solicit members' credit and debit card information. If you have any doubts about the legitimacy of any call, email, or visit from someone claiming to be from CEMC, contact CEMC directly at 1-800-987-2362. Being well informed can help you avoid becoming the next victim. Sumner Regional Medical Center believes that every person has the right to dignity, respect, and compassion as we journey through the cycle of life. That's why they have created High Point Hospice, to assure that our loved ones will receive the necessary support to allow us to do so. At High Point Hospice, our team of doctors, nurses, hospice aides, social workers, chaplains, and volunteers will walk by your side, offering support, providing symptom management, and answering questions to bring comfort and peace to you and your loved ones. For more information about High Point Hospice, call 328-6690 or visit them online at highpointhospice.com. That's 328-6690, or visit them online at highpointhospice.com.
WQKR.
Hey, join me, Kenny Mann, right here on the Q for the Man Show every Saturday night. You don't want to miss it. I have a time machine.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I did build a time machine out of a DeLorean, and all I've got to do is get you in it.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
It's going to be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss it. It's every Saturday night right here on the Q.
Oh my.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Whether you're on your way to work in the morning and looking to grab a quick breakfast, on lunch break and wanting something good and hot and quick, or just hungry and not sure what you want, the one place you can always find what will work for you is AM Express at the intersection of Highways 31 and 52, just off exit 117 of I-65 in Portland. They're open 24 hours a day, offer both takeout and Grubhub delivery service, and have the biggest selection of fast food of anyone in the area. Fast food or home-cooked meals, meat in 2 sides, just $6.49. Delicious Godfather's Pizza, 3 for $13.99. Fried chicken, chicken strips, livers, and gizzards. Hot, barbecued, and crispy wings. Fish, potato wedges, onion rings, the biggest and best selection anywhere. And Quiznos subs, always hot and ready to go, plus everything else you want or need from a truly convenient convenience store. AM Express at the intersection of Highways 52 and 31, just off exit 117 of I-65 in Portland. Get what you want when you want it. Pick it up or have it delivered by Grubhub. AM Express, 615-325-1159.
Welcome back to Southern Ghost Stories. Here's your host, Alan Searcy.
All right, we are back talking about the Sausage King of Chicago, Adolph Luetgert. Now, we left off, Adolph Luetgert just found out that the man who was going to save his operation was a charlatan. He was a fraud. He was a phony. I went to New York City. Adolph sent him some money for travel, and he just took the money and just left town. So Adolph Luetgert, he's a desperate man. He goes back home to Chicago, and I told you he's already running the operation with a skeleton crew. Louisa, his wife's starting to ask him questions. Hey, what's going on? She's starting to get letters in the mail from creditors. Hey, a slaughterhouse needs some money, Adolph. What's going on? Why are they contacting us at home?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it wasn't good. He's still trying to make ends meet. He does secure a loan from a lady named Christina Feld. Christina Feld, she's a wealthy widow and a socialite, and she get the factory going to run on the skeleton crew. So Louisa, she knows something's going on. Well, on May 3rd, 1893, she corners him. She confronts him in his office there at the house. Adolph, what's going on? You know, this slaughterhouse is sending us notes, letters. You owe a lot of money, a lot of people. What's happening?
Come clean.
Come clean. So he breaks down and tells her everything. You know, hey, we're going to lose it all. And she's furious because the whole time he's promised her that they're going to have a bigger house, a new house. She wants to move from behind the factory because I'm sure it doesn't smell very good over there. But they get in a big fight. She shouts at him. He shouts at her. Well, he leaves the house, and he walks back over to the factory because the house is right behind the factory. Well, the next day, his brother-in-law, Diedrich Becknies, Louisa's brother, comes by the house. Adolph's in his study when Mary, his servant, his maid, who was also Louisa's cousin, comes in and says, hey, you know, Diedrich, your brother-in-law's here. He wants to see you. He's in there playing with Louis and Elmer. So Adolph sits on his chair. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll go in there. I'll see Diedrich. Yeah. So Adolph walks into the parlor, and he sees the boys playing with their uncle, and says, hey, why don't you guys go upstairs? You know, I'm going to talk to Uncle Diedrich.
Ooh.
So Uncle Diedrich goes, hey, where's my sister? Adolph, he just kind of like, oh, well, I thought maybe she went to see your sister. Have you talked to your sister, Wilhelma, who lives over on the south side of Chicago? Diedrich's like, no, maybe I'll go over and check it out. So Diedrich gets his horse and his buggy, and he rides on down to see his sister Wilhelma. Well, Wilhelma, she said, you know, I haven't seen Louisa. And last time I spoke to her, she told me that Adolph's business was off. There are some problems. The creditors are reaching out to her at the house. So something's not adding up.
Something is missing
Well, yeah,
from what I read.
Yes.
There were some affairs going on.
Well, we'll get to that.
Well, I thought it was before.
Well, it's kind of during. Yeah, there's some stuff going on in the background.
Okay.
But Diedrich, he goes back to the house, and he finds Adolph in the parlor. And hey, what's going on? Why haven't you gone to the police? She's been missing.
Right.
Adolph said, well, I'm a prominent businessman, and if I went to the police, it'd be bad for business. People talk, Diedrich. Well, Diedrich got enraged, and before he left, Adolph said, hey, don't worry, I've hired some private detectives. And I'm going to find her. But Diedrich, he left in a huff, and he went down to the police station to talk to the police. Well, the next morning, the police show up at the factory, and they want to talk to Adolph about what's going on with his wife. But Adolph tells them, hey, I'm too busy. Bring on a skeleton crew. There's just a lot going on. Can you come back at another time? Well, the officer pushed back, but Adolph said, hey, just come back the next day. Well, 2 days later, they come back to the factory. Adolph, again, is too busy to talk to the police. So the officer gets on him, hey, we got to talk to you. Your wife's missing. People are talking. What's going on, Adolph? Well, hey, a lot going on in the factory. I'm understaffed. We're running behind. Let me come by the station tomorrow, and I'll talk to you. Well, the next day, Adolph Luetgert goes down to the police station, and Captain Schutler just tears into him. At this point, his wife's been missing for 6 days. Adolph Luetgert, it's been 6 days. Why has it taken you this long before you came to me and tell me your wife's missing? Well, Adolph says, she's been acting strange. Business is down. She wants to move. I hate to tell you this, but she threatened to kill herself a few weeks ago. Well, Captain Schutler pushes back, hey, you got to come in and file a missing persons report. Adolph says, hey, I was hopeful she'd return. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'll offer a $200 reward for anyone has information on where my sweet wife is. If they'll come and help me find her, pay them $200. Any information leading to her whereabouts. Well, before Adolph left, the chief pulled him aside. So let me ask you something. Have you thought about hiring a detective to look into your wife's whereabouts? Adolph said no, which contradicts the fact that he told his brother, Lisa's brother, his brother-in-law, Diedrich, that he had hired private detectives.
Correct.
So they've got him. Well, the next day, the police descend upon the sausage factory. They search his office upstairs. They find a bed because he does sleep in his office. They're looking everywhere. I told you, skeleton crew, only a few people are there. They go downstairs in this creepy, dank, musky-smelling basement, and what they find is a 400-gallon vat that they use to smoke the sausage. Well, investigators, they climb inside. They start poking around.
I know what they found.
You do know what they found? Tell me, what did they find?
They found human bones. They found jewelry with her initials. And that's all I can remember.
Well, inside the vat, they found a fake tooth,
Okay.
2 gold rings, and one of which was coincidentally inscribed LL.
Her initials.
Yes, Louisa Luetgert is on the inside of the band there. Now, to your point, inside the smokehouse, 10 yards away, they found charred bones and fragment of corset steel.
Okay.
So, as you can imagine, this raises a lot of red flags, for the
Big
Chicago
time.
Police Department. Yeah, Adolph Luetgert, he's in trouble. So, investigators zero in on Frank Balke. He's an elderly gentleman who'd worked at the factory for quite a while as a night watchman. So, they start asking around, start talking to all the employees, and Frank admits he was present the night that Louisa was believed to have gone missing, the night they had the argument. So they take him to the station. He's like, hey, Adolph was here. He told him Adolph comes in, but, he often stays here, so it's not really that strange of occurrence. But what was odd, though, that night, he came to the factory, and he was, kind of acting erratically. As soon as he got here, he asked me to go run some errands. He sent me out to a drugstore. So Frank went out to this drugstore, got whatever it was he was sent after. He comes back. As soon as he gets back, he gives Adolph the bag. Adolph said, hey, I want you to go back out and get this from the same drugstore. So Frank, he's a company man. Yes, sir, Mr. Luetgert. He goes out, and he runs back to the drugstore. He's gone for a couple hours. He comes back. And when he gets back to the sausage factory, he finds the basement is barricaded. He knocks on the door, and Adolph's on the other side shouting to him, hey, I'll be right back up. Hey, everything's okay. Well, Frank said he kind of walked around, he made his rounds, and at 3 a.m., Adolph Luetgert came out of the basement and made his presence known. Well, when he went downstairs, he noticed Adolph had started a fire in the smokehouse, which was not a normal thing for the owner and president to do at, midnight or whatever. And I was thinking, what drugstore in Chicago is open at midnight anyway? Yeah, that's what got me thinking. So, in addition to the fire in the smokehouse, Adolph's chair he kept in his office behind his desk was sitting beside that 400-gallon vat they used to smoke the meat, where they found the 2 rings and the fake tooth. So, it's not looking good for Adolph. Well, Adolph learns that Frank had talked to investigators. So the next morning, he goes over to Frank's house to see, what's what. Well, unbeknownst to Adolph, Frank was meeting with another officer that morning in his home for more questioning. So Frank's there talking to an officer. Who is it? It's me, Adolph Luetgert. What do we do? What do we do? The officer runs in the other room and he hides under the bed.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So Adolph, I told you, he bangs on the door and he demanded, Frank, hey, let me in. We got to talk. So the officer runs in under the bed. Well, Adolph, he's kind of playing coy. He walks in, Frank, it's good to see you. My longtime employee, my very good friend. It's nice to see you. How you doing this morning? Frank, he's probably sweating bullets. You have to imagine. But he plays kind of coy. He doesn't tell Adolph what he has told the authorities. Mm-hmm. But Adolph's fishing. He wants to know, hey, what's going on? What did they ask you? What did you tell them? And Frank, he just plays it close to the vest. He says, hey, they asked if I saw you at the factory. I told them, hey, you were in the factory, but you have a bed upstairs. You stay in the factory. You're a company man. You work hard, and you were there working that night. So he downplayed the whole thing. Well, Adolph, as you can imagine, he's just thrilled. Okay, Frank took care of me. Nothing to worry about. Well, Adolph's still kind of guarded. He doesn't really talk about what he says, or he doesn't really mention the case or the whatever's going on, because he's not arrested yet. So he tells Frank, hey, won't you bring your son to the factory, and I'll give him a job. Good job, Frank. I really respect you. You're a great company man. So Adolph Luetgert leaves. The officer climbs out from under the bed, and now we're up for a break, and we'll get back to the rest when we come back.
Sounds good to me. We'll be right back.
CEMC wants to warn its members to be on alert for scams that are targeting utility customers. Scammers are using a variety of methods, including phone calls and emails, to solicit members' credit and debit card information. If you have any doubts about the legitimacy of any call, email, or visit from someone claiming to be from CEMC, contact CEMC directly at 1-800-987-2362. Being well informed can help you avoid becoming the next victim. Sumner Regional Medical Center believes that every person has the right to dignity, respect, and compassion as we journey through the cycle of life. That's why they have created High Point Hospice, to assure that our loved ones will receive the necessary support to allow us to do so. At High Point Hospice, our team of doctors, nurses, hospice aides, social workers, chaplains, and volunteers will walk by your side, offering support, providing symptom management, and answering questions to bring comfort and peace to you and your loved ones. For more information about High Point Hospice, call 328-6690 or visit them online at highpointhospice.com. That's 328-6690 or visit them online at highpointhospice.com.
WQKR.
Hey, join me, Kenny Mann, right here on the Q for the Man Show every Saturday night. You don't want to miss it. I have a time machine.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I did build a time machine out of a DeLorean, and all I've got to do is get you in it.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
It's going to be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss it. It's every Saturday night right here on the Q.
Oh my.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Volunteer State Bank is now Volunteer Bank. We're proud to introduce a new look for a name you've trusted for 48 years. This change reflects our deep roots in Middle Tennessee and our commitment to the place that we call home. It's how we're evolving to better serve you while staying true to the values that built us. Whatever your next step may be, we volunteer to help you take it. Volunteer Bank, the home state advantage. Learn more at volunteer.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Southern Ghost Stories. Here's your host, Alan Cersei.
All right, we are back talking about the Sausage King of Chicago, Adolph Luetgert. I think there's a ghost in here. Did you hear that? There's something going on in here. Anyway, so Adolph Luetgert, you know, he's thrilled. Frank didn't rat him out, or so he thinks. So Adolph Luetgert goes back home. He wasn't arrested. He's sitting back home, but he knows it's coming. So it's in all the papers. People are claiming to see Louisa all over Chicago. They claim to see her in Milwaukee. There's all these sightings of Louisa, so it's like they don't have a body, and that's a problem. But they have all this circumstantial evidence that kind of points to something nefarious going on in the factory where Adolph was that night doing some shenanigans. Well, on May 17th, the officers come to Luetgert Mansion, and he's in the parlor stroking his two Great Danes.
Mm-hmm.
Sits there. He's very stoic. He said, "Oh, you've come for me." They came for him. So they arrested him, and Adolph's like, "Look, I'm a businessman, you know, a prominent citizen. Being arrested it's not good for sausage business. So what I ask from you is, please, don't take me in the police wagon. Let's walk down the street. I won't fight you. I will not resist. Let's get in a streetcar, and let's take that to the police station." So the cop was like, "Okay, you know, if you promise you won't try any shenanigans, we'll take the streetcar.
No tomfoolery.
I don't want to embarrass you." So he did that. He followed him to the streetcar. They got in the streetcar, and they went all the way to the station, and the officer accompanied Adolph to the police station. Well, as he's getting there, the crowd's starting to form. His brother, Arnold, shows up. But when he gets to the front steps of the police station, he starts having panic attacks. He starts just flailing around. Like, officers had to come grab him and drag him in. He starts to fight, scream. His brother, Arnold's trying to calm him down. And he was so tore up, they put him on suicide watch. They put him in isolation for a day or two, and his brother tried talking to him, and they had to kind of calm him down because he was just so erratic and just all over the place. So once he was in jail, the papers are all over the story. You know, the grandiose story about the Sausage King who killed his wife. And like I told you, there's no body. There's just rumors. But it starts to appear in the papers that Adolph, he's a man about town. And he's been seeing several different women, supposedly. There's been all these women.
Here we go.
They're linked to the Sausage King. Mm-hmm. So one of which, the most notable, is Christina Feld. She was a lady who was loaning him the money to keep the sausage factory afloat.
Was that known? A known fact?
Yeah, she was very prominent. It was everything's just whispered. No one knows what's what.
All right.
There's a lot of rumors. But the most interesting lady who was linked to Adolph was his maid, Louisa's sister, or Louisa's cousin, Mary Simmery.
You Jezebel.
And she was only like 18, 19 years old. She's a very young lady. You know, he's in his 40s. Mm-hmm. So you got to wonder if there's something going on with a cousin who's trying to help get rid of her cousin so she can slide on in there, take care of the boys, become the Sausage King's wife. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no one really knows what happened, but she had been seen going in and out of the factory. But then again, in her defense, she lived with the Luetgerts in their mansion right behind the factory, so she would occasionally go, "Hey, here's supper, Adolph." Or, "Hey, Louisa wants to see you. Can you please come home?" So she would have a reason to be in the factory because she was part of the family and she was one of the servants. Mm-hmm. But what really got the police watching her was she brought him a package like his first week in jail. So she comes real late at night, which is really weird. And the officers, the jailer refuses to let her go visit Adolph in his cell because he's on suicide watch. So they said, well, hey, what's in this package you want us to deliver to Adolph? And she gets real defensive. They take the package, and inside of it's a big bundle of money. So they arrest her, throw her in jail, start questioning her. They hold her overnight. The next morning they bring her for interrogation. She admits that, well, it is money, but I didn't ask any questions. I was given this package by Christina Feld to give to Adolph. So the scuttlebutt around the jail was, hey, was Adolph going to try to pay off some guards? Why would he bring all this cash into the jail? It doesn't make sense for a guy accused of killing his wife to have, $30,000, $40,000 on his person while he's locked up. So that just kind of, raised some more flags about what she was doing. So the trial, when they go to trial, it's the trial of the century. The state, they put his employees on the stand. They start asking about the business, what happened in the basement. One of the employees testifies that what the state's argument was, or what they believe happened was, he put Louisa in this vat in the smoking vat, and he filled it with potash, and he turned the burners on. And
what's potash?
Potash, it's basically, it's like an acid.
It's acidic. It's
acidic, yeah. If you burn it, if you boil the potash, it basically dissolves whatever you put inside of it.
Gotcha.
So one of these worker bees, who I think his name was also Frank, they called him Smokehouse Frank, he brought a barrel of potash downstairs a week or two before all the stuff with Louisa, and he burned his hand. Like, he had to get treatment because the potash is touching it raw. Like, it burned his hand, burned his skin really, really bad. So in other employees testified that, hey, they also saw Frank touch the stuff, and that's why that it was just, this stuff was bad news. Adolph and his team, they're like, oh, well, we use this stuff to clean, the smokehouse. We use it to clean the vats. So they brought in a salesperson from that company, and they're saying, oh, well, how much potash would you need to clean this area? And they're like, oh, it would just be like a fragment. It wouldn't be a whole barrel. So, but a whole barrel is what was, they used a whole barrel. The barrel was empty once investigators started poking around. But yeah, officials believe that he dissolved his wife's body downstairs in the basement.
Dang.
And then I guess he tried to burn the remains. So they go back and forth. The Luetgert team, they try to produce, while the state is producing these witnesses that say that, this is what happened, they dissolved the body, the defense produces these experts who say that, well, no, this potash, it would not effectively, the skin wouldn't dissolve, the hair wouldn't dissolve, you'd find clumps of hair. They go back and forth with the experts. Some experts say it would have, some say it wouldn't. And basically, yes, no, yes, no. So what Adolph and his team does, William Charles got a group of scientists together, and they acquired some cadavers nefariously from a college, and they boiled them in two separate vats. One was a man, one was a woman, just to see, what would happen if they did exactly what the state was accusing them of doing.
That's strange.
And to their surprise, or I guess to not their surprise, the bodies did not dissolve in the potash in the given time that they accused him of boiling his wife's body. Well, this goes back and forth. The scientists are arguing back and forth with each other. And what one of them points out is like, hey, these bodies from the college, they had been preserved with formaldehyde or put into pickle, which is how they preserved bodies back then. And so then the team goes back and forth, okay, if a body was preserved, could you still boil it in this amount of time? And they find out that no, you cannot. It's a whole lot of forensics and early forensics, and it's really wild. I go deep into it in my book, The Sausage King. But the Luetgert team, they get people on the stand. The state put people on the stand who claimed to see Louisa going to the sausage factory. They claimed to see Luetgerts arguing behind the home, behind the factory that night that she went missing. And to combat that, the Luetgert team, they brought in two meteorologists, like from the National Weather Service, from like Chicago. I mean, one from Chicago, I think one was from Washington, D.C. And they said, look, it was cloudy and overcast that night. You wouldn't be able to see someone from this far where they claim, I think there was a girl leaving a dance who claimed she saw Adolph and Louisa argue. And the meteorologist was like, no, it would be impossible because it was overcast, it was dark, the moon wouldn't have been, you couldn't have seen the moon, it would have been impossible to see them arguing behind the house from the vantage point of this young lady. So it's,
Gotcha.
he said, she said, and so when they finally, the jury goes to deliberate, when the judge is talking to the jury, he says, like, hey, this is first-degree murder, this is manslaughter, this is the benchmarks you have to, find them guilty. Adolph turns around and picks up his little boy, Louis, who's 2, and just hugs him and just holds him. And the whole courthouse just melts. The son of this vicious killer hugging his 2-year-old little boy, like the newspaper's reporting on it. It's a sweet scene. And that's the last image these jurors saw of Adolph Luetgert before they went to go deliberate. So they go to deliberate, and they deliberate for quite some time. It's kind of some gridlock. There are 9 people who believe Adolph killed his wife. There are 3 who believe that Adolph did not. And to get the verdict, it has to be unanimous.
Right.
So they go back and forth. There's scuttlebutt in the papers. There's scuttlebutt all over Chicago. This is what's going on. Well, they kind of dig in a little bit, and they find out that one of the men from the jury was friendly with Adolph Luetgert. And he was one of the ones who was holding out. He was one of the 3, and they think he was working to convince the others that, no, he couldn't have killed his wife. And it was possible. It was overcast. There's no moon that night. You couldn't have seen him do it.
There's only 2 now in the jury.
Yeah, well, no, he stays on. He doesn't get kicked out. He doesn't,
Well, I figured that would oust him.
No, I mean, because they went through, because the jury process, was pretty, they were very detailed about it. Like, they kicked some people off early.
Nowadays, that would oust him.
Yeah, well, I mean, once it's going, I'm not sure how they would do that. So Adolph, they finally come back. They give the judge a decision. They're gridlock. They cannot decide what to do. It's going to be a mistrial. So Adolph Luetgert, he goes free. But, he hadn't been found innocent. He's still subject to, another trial.
Right.
So the bad thing about all this is Adolph is running out of money. He was already broke. And now I think after the first trial, the city or someone came and put a claim on the factory and shut it down.
Ouch.
So, yeah, there's no more income to the sausage factory. His brother is wealthy, but he don't have that much money. So the attorney, Mr. William Vincent, who leaded the legal team for Adolph, he backs out. It's like, hey, I got you a mistrial. You can't afford me for a second one. So he walks away. So they look around and they find some other people who are willing to come in and argue on Adolph's behalf. So, but there's a second trial, and I think we'll get to that after the break. What do you think, Lone
Sounds
Lee?
good to me. We'll be right back.
Why choose the Farmers Bank? We've been serving our community since 1912, and we still manage our business locally. This means that when you need banking services or a loan, we don't let a computer or someone thousands of miles away make our decisions. We make decisions locally. We visit with you in person. We shake your hand. We get to know you and your family. The Farmers Bank is a community bank built on trust and quality customer care and service. Visit us at any of our 11 area locations or online at thefarmersbank.net to see the Farmers Bank difference. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Now you can join Planet Fitness and get the PF Black Card for zero enrollment, $24.99 a month, and get all the perks.
I love perks.
Do you love having access to 2,000 plus locations?
Yes.
Bringing a friend every time?
Hashtag friend goals. And
recovering with massage chairs?
Who doesn't?
Get the PF Black Card and feel spectacular. Zero enrollment, $24.99 a month. See Club for details.
We have some exciting news to share with the Portland community today regarding their local health care options. I am joined by Eric Johnson, the owner of Firefly Health. Eric, I'm hearing a lot of talk about the new Firefly Health. Can you tell me more?
Sure, Wanda. Firefly Health is a primary care clinic that provides comprehensive health care for the entire family. We're open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you are not feeling well or would just like to schedule your routine physical, Firefly Health is there for you. We also serve walk-in patients as well as sport and school physicals.
Can you please tell me the best way for people to contact you?
Sure. Please visit our website at fireflycare.com to schedule your appointment online or give us a call at 615-205-2100. We are located at 421 North Broadway, right next to Napa Auto Parts.
That's 615-205-2100.
WQKR. McDonald's presents Burger Reviews by Hamburglar. Today's review, the hotter, juicier classic burgers. Hamburglar, the time is yours.
Robble, robble.
He said, these are McDonald's best burgers ever. And then, can I keep them? And then he just grabbed them and ran away.
Robble.
It's your time to run, too. Get your McDonald's favorites. Enjoy this delicious deal. Buy one Big Mac, double cheeseburger, or McDouble, and get another one for $1. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Welcome back to Southern Ghost Stories.
Right.
Come on, Alan Cersei.
Where's those WQKR girls? I hadn't seen them this week.
I've heard them earlier, but I think they went on vacation.
Vacation?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I wonder where they went.
I don't know, but they're not paid for it.
Okay. All right. We need to get them some compensation for that vacation.
WQKR.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. So where we left off, Adolph Luetgert, he has just been found. It was a mistrial for the first go around. Well, the second trial, they go after him. The state is trying to prosecute him. But something I thought was really interesting, there was a medium, Alexander Tyndall, who comes to Chicago, who tries to get involved in the case.
Now we're getting good.
Yeah.
Come on.
And what's funny is Alexander Tyndall is a guy who I wrote about in my Jules Wallace book. And he was in St. Louis a year before doing some shenanigans. But he came to Chicago claiming if he could hypnotize Adolph on stand, he would get him to confess to the murder or get to say what really happened.
Right.
So Alexander Tyndall is trying desperately to get himself involved in the case, and the prosecutor can't have it. You can't have a medium fooling around. In my book, though, I do kind of play with it a little bit, and I let him get involved because it's a lot of fun. But, yeah, the medium does not get involved, but everybody's convinced Adolph he killed his wife.
He's guilty.
Yeah. So the second trial, it goes on a few months, and unlike the first one, his children, he doesn't get to pick them up and love on them in front of the whole jury. And, he's in a lot of trouble. So as the second case is unfolding, the reporters start digging in, and they uncovered that he owned a saloon in 1877 that caught fire mysteriously, and he had got a pretty nice insurance policy. Well, a few months later, his first wife dies suddenly, and just over a year later, he marries Louisa. So it's, everybody already knows he's a scumbag, but now the reporters are really digging in. They're finding out, hey, he's been involved in shenanigans before all this stuff. His first wife died under mysterious circumstances. Well, it took 2 trials, and they finally got him, and he was sentenced to life in prison. There was some going back and forth, would they let him hang? But no, they decided, the judge, no, we'll just, serve his sentence in prison. Strangely, when he went to the old Joliet prison outside of Chicago, Adolph would tell the guards that Louisa was in his cell with him. Like she was there to torment him. Yeah, it was kind of like a thing. They said that he would start screaming in the middle of the night and say, hey, Louisa's staring at me. Louisa's shouting at me. So, he winds up passing away in prison on July 27th, 1899. So, did his wife torment him the whole time he was in there?
Who knows?
Yeah, but still.
But they had to think he was like loony, losing his mind or something.
Yeah, he was I don't know, man. Adolph Luetgert, if you see pictures of him, he's a big, burly guy. I imagine it'd be kind of intimidating to see him screaming and throwing a fit.
Right.
So that sausage factory where all the stuff went down, it caught fire in 1894, and they said they're going to have to tear it down. Well, actually, the fire wasn't as bad as what they originally believed, and the sausage factory was saved. And today, it is now home to a high-end apartment complex. So I went to Chicago a couple years ago, and I did my book, Ghost Stories and Graveyard Tales of Chicago, and I tried my darndest to get to go in that basement. But like I said, it's an apartment building. It's a key card. I could not get access. But I thought that'd be so neat. Go down to that basement where Louisa Luetgert, was allegedly boiled in potash. And there are rumors about the sausage factory being haunted. So you mentioned, Lee, that you had read something about the factory and the ghosts.
Yeah, how she haunted the basement. Is what I read.
Yeah, there are some stories I found where there were people who would. At one time, there was like a saloon or a restaurant across the street, and one night they're about to close down, and they saw someone they thought it was like a flashlight or a candle in the window going back and forth. So the guys go over there. They get a police officer to accompany them. They go inside the sausage factory, but there's nobody there.
Right.
Well, as they're about to leave, they see this big ball of light just shoot across the basement, and they go chasing it, and they don't find it. So, yeah, I think there's legs to the whole Louisa Luetgert. I mean, that's just got to be just an awful, awful, get boiled in potash in the basement of a sausage factory.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a high-end complex. But something I learned researching all this, the vat that she was allegedly boiled in, it was bought by a traveling circus sideshow and taken around the country. So I guess like in the late 19th century, early 20th century, these sideshows would go all over the country, and they would, go to the train station, and they just set up shop there by the train station, and you could come and you could go enter the train car for 10 cents, and you could view the vat that Louisa Luetgert was boiled in.
Out of town.
Yeah, and they also have other things, like they would have, the human mermaid, or they would have these oddities and attractions. That's
the human mermaid.
Yeah, I got a story in St. Louis that's just bonkers about a human mermaid. We'll get to that on another day. But yeah, you could for 10 cents you could go view the vat of acid, or the vat. There'd be no acid in, of course.
That's crazy.
What would you pay to go sit in that vat and get a selfie, Lee?
I just would.
10 cents?
I don't think I would.
10 cents. Well, 10 cents I guess back then would be like maybe $5 or something.
I wouldn't want to go in there now if it was like present times. I would like to go in there with my ghost apps and see if I can pick up anything. Have you had any success with your ghost apps lately? I know the other day you was doing them while we were recording. Sometimes I think I am, but I don't know whether to believe them or not. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like every now and then it'll say something relevant to what I'm talking about, but who knows? Yeah, but the Adolph Luetgert story, and there's a whole lot more. I kind of just hit the high points, but I wrote about it in Ghost Stories and Graveyard Tales Chicago, my book I did about ghost stories and folklore. Chicago's got a wild history. That book, Ghost Stories and Graveyard Tales Chicago, it's got Reviving Bodies, Electricity. We talked about that last week, The Gentleman and Burglar. But as I started, as you guys know, I write a lot of screenplays now. I've taken some of these stories, and The Sausage King, I worked on this earlier this year, and once I had the screenplay, I fleshed it out and made it into a full standalone book. But it's called The Sausage King, and it's historic fiction. So I do, like if I have A, B, and D, like I'll play around with C and make it fun, like I said, with the medium, but still kind of keep it true to the story, but make it fun. So that's what I've been doing lately. But The Sausage King, it's a fun read. I was in Nashville. You guys know I set up at the farmer's market occasionally. I was sitting in my booth, and this lady runs over to me. She said, "I want to take your picture." I said, "Okay, why?" She said, "Well, my husband bought your Sausage King book 2 weeks ago, and he told me it's the most suspenseful book, easy for me to say, that he's ever read." Wow. Yeah, that's pretty high praise, Well, you need to let me check that one out. So, yeah, I've got some great feedback on it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free to read. But I do have some other books out now. I got the Resurrection of Knox Martin. Talked about that a week or two ago. The South Nashville Frankenstein story. I had some books drop in August. Fear and Folklore, American Monsters 2. It's got stories like the Monroe Monster in Michigan. It's got the Cato Critter in Texas. Just wild folklore, just cryptid monster stories. Everybody loves a good Bigfoot story. And the Alabama White Thing is in there. The Magogan Monster out in the Southwest. There's some Bigfoot stories in that book. Southern Ghost Stories, Tennessee Tales 2 is also out. It's got stories like Spearfinger, the Cherokee folklore. One day we'll do something about that. Just stories, because you got to think, I have books on Chattanooga, Knoxville, Nashville, Franklin. I've covered a lot of the bigger cities. Places like Mount Juliet, Tennessee, Lebanon, Clarksville, Westmoreland, the Westmoreland White Thing. There's all kinds of just folklore and ghost stories. Every city has their little thing. And I can't write a book about Westmoreland, Tennessee, but I can write a couple pages about the Westmoreland White Thing. Have you heard about the Westmoreland White Thing? I've heard, but I don't know much about it. Yeah, they supposedly it's this critter or this creature lives out in the woods in Westmoreland, and according to the story, there was a traveling circus sideshow, like I mentioned earlier, that the train derailed somewhere in town, and then this creature, this oddity, got away, and it's been living out in the woods. And they say that it'll sound like this shriek or a baby cry, but it's really the white thing in Westmoreland.
Now, when you say folklore, that's basically, it's really kind of hearsay, but people swear that it happened and that kind of thing. You know?
Yeah, I did an interview with the Kingsport News-Times yesterday, and we're talking about what was it? Talking about one of the legends in East Tennessee, the Sensabaugh Tunnel in Kingsport. And it's kind of like the Bell Witch or the Jersey Devil. It's a story of a tale that's become a legend. You don't know what's what. And, like, kids grew up hearing it. And, like, in Kingsport, Tennessee, it's this tunnel supposed to be haunted. And, if you're a 13-year-old boy and you take your girlfriend, you want her to be scared. You may try to scare her. So it's like a monster that feeds itself. And it becomes more crazier and grandiose as the years go on.
Right.
But, there's a lot going on. October, like I mentioned, it's almost upon us. Lonesome Lee and I are going to be doing a live show at the Palace Theater in Gallatin, Tennessee, October 29th.
I wonder who's going to run the board for us.
You're going to be playing the guitar, pal. I want to hear your song.
Well, I need to know who's going to be doing this, because somebody's got to do it.
We'll have to figure that out. But, Lonesome Lee Bogan should be playing his brand-new smash hit, Gonna Marry Me a Hooker. I'll be telling some ghost stories.
You got to get the title right, though. I'm going to marry a hooker.
What did I say?
There ain't no me in there.
Okay. I'm gonna marry
it is released, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
It's doing well. I saw it on YouTube the other day.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to do a live show. I've got a special guest. He's going to come out there and talk about some ghost stories and some ghost hunting. I may have some more tricks up my sleeve. It's going to be a good time. And it's only going to be $5. And all the money we raise is going to go back to the Palace. These historic sites are not easy to keep up, and I'm excited to partner with them. And also check out ghostofgallatin.com. We're going to be doing tours September, October, early November, walking around the Gallatin Square telling ghost stories. May throw in some grave robbing. I'm working on some dates for a haunted Hendersonville also. Got some stuff planned. Corner of Gallatin Road, Walton Ferry. I do a walking tour. The Gallatin tour is 90 minutes. Hendersonville's 60 minutes. A lot more stuff to talk about in Gallatin, but both are fun. Both are unique. Both are just wild and weird. Lots of fun stuff to talk about, but yeah, we've had a pretty good show, Lee. Anything I've missed on the Sausage King that you want to talk about?
I think you've covered it all, and what a great little story. Very intriguing.
Yeah, and I could have easily done an hour and a half on the Sausage King, but I tried to hit the high points because I knew we only had an hour, 40 or 50 minutes with commercials, but still try to make it fun. And there are some new books coming out in October. You can look for them now. Below the Trestle, it's a book based off the Popelet Goatman in Louisville, Kentucky. It's, I guess, similar to the Westmoreland White thing. It's a local cryptid in Kentucky that everybody talks about up there. Hex is also coming out soon. It's October 1st, I believe. It's about a voodoo story in Knoxville. But I think we're about out of time, and I think the WQKR girls are back from vacation. I think it's about time to get out of here, Lee.
I think so, too. Be sure to tune in next week for Southern Ghost Stories with your host with the most,
Lonesome Lee Bogan.
Alan Searcy. Well, I didn't get this is what I need to do. Y'all come back next week. We'll see you.